Hello everyone, my name is Arjun and thanks for watching me in my channel Uodagam, which stands for Tamil Media. Today we are going to talk about a very important topic, and the topic is Modi the most corrupt prime minister that India has ever seen? Now, before we reach into any conclusions, it is imperative that we talk or come to a conclusion with hard-hitting facts and credible evidences that has been collected. Now, before we jump into the video, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Arjun Muruganandam. I've been living in the US for the past 17 years, and I've been keenly associated with Indian politics, especially Tamil Nadu politics, for the past 10 years. I'm a member of Naam Tamlar Katchi, which is spearheaded by my brother Seeman, and we have been actively gaining grounds in this election, and we hope that we can make a huge impact in this election. Now, let's get back into the topic. The topic is Modi the most corrupt prime minister that India has ever seen, right? Now, are there any standards? Can corruption be quantified? That is a big question that lies in front of us. The answer is yes, it is. Corruption can be quantified. There is a particular institution in the world called as Transparency International. You can actually scan the QR code that is appearing in the screen, and it will take you to the Transparency International page. Transparency International is an independent organization or an independent institution which does not have any political affiliation, or it's not associated with any country, and it is an independent institution which quantifies and measures corruption across the different countries in the world, and it actually releases a list every year. Now, Transparency International is like getting an Oscar for the Best Picture Award or getting for the Best Actor Award, right? So if you actually go into this particular URL, or if you scan to the QR code, they have released a list of countries, and they have also mentioned which country is the least corrupt and which country is the most corrupt. If you actually look into the rankings, you can observe that in the last 10 years, Denmark, Finland, and New Zealand have been the top 3 countries which are least corrupt, which means they have clean and efficient governance, and people are able to lead a very healthy life and a happy life in those countries. If you actually take any Western country for that matter, they actually come in the top 50 because they have clean governance. Now, how do we actually fight or combat against corruption? Now, as per Transparency International, there are 3 important parameters or process that we need to have in place to fight against corruption. The number one reason that Transparency International mentions is transparency in governance, which is the number one reason or a process that needs to be implemented to fight against corruption. Now, let's look at what do you mean by transparency in governance. I'm going to give you an example and cite you an example and show pictures so that it is easy for you to understand what transparency in governance actually means. We are going to take an example of a state in the US called Tennessee. If you actually Google transparent Tennessee, Tennessee is one of the 50 states in the US, and if you actually Google transparent Tennessee, it takes you to a website. This information is available in public domain. You can live in anywhere around the world. You can live in India, you can live in Australia, you can live in New Zealand, it doesn't matter. This information is available in public domain. Now, what does Transparent Tennessee stand for? The state of Tennessee, this is how they are giving a clean governance. They are telling the taxpayer, okay, this is how the revenue for the state of Tennessee is coming from. The taxpayers are paying the money, the taxpayers are paying the taxes, and it comes to the state of Tennessee as an income. Now, they are telling the taxpayers that this is how we got the income, but this is how we are spending it. If you actually go inside the Transparent Tennessee website, and you can actually search the salary of each and individual state employee for Tennessee. Can you believe it? Why does that happen? Why does Tennessee allow people to search for the salary of its own employees? Because you have to understand, the state employees of Tennessee are being paid by the taxpayers' money. So they're letting the taxpayers know that their money is actually in good use, and they're giving clean governance, and they're giving the people of Tennessee complete control on where their money is going to or being routed to. Now, it is not just about the salary of state employees of Tennessee. They are also giving other information like, okay, so when you spend $1 in the state of Tennessee, where does that dollar go into? They split it out into how much is being spent for education. They are categorizing into how much is being spent for healthcare services. They are categorizing into how much is being spent for building roads, good schools, healthcare services, child empowerment, education, agriculture, and all these various categories. They are giving you that information in the public domain so that you can go and search for it. On top of that, let's say there are multiple vendors. Let's say there is a vendor who is working on laying roads in the state of Tennessee. Let's say there is another vendor who is building some government buildings for the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee will allow you to actually search for the checkbook or even the check number that has been sent to the vendors, because they want the taxpayer to know that each and every penny that they are paying in tax is being accounted for. This is a very good example on how a governance should work, a government should run, and how clean and transparent the government should be. Unfortunately, in India, we don't have such a process. And due to this, the taxpayers' money is being swindled by these netas and corrupt bureaucrats. This has been going for the past 78 years, ever since India got independence. It is time that the government of India puts checks and balances and has a process in place, so that BJP is ruling in 22 states. I don't think in any one of those 22 states they have transparency in governance. Unless you have transparency in governance, there is no way that we can fight against corruption in our great country called India. Now, the second most important thing which the Transparency International institution lists to fight against corruption is protecting the whistleblowers. Now, this is very important, because if you really think about it, in a country which is so huge and which is very diverse in like India, there's going to be corruption happening at some places. There are going to be some honest and people who have integrity who think that corruption should not happen in the workplace, and they're going to go and report this corruption to their superiors. Now, it is utmost important that the superiors protect the whistleblowers, that they don't get any kind of retaliation from these corrupt people, and actually held the corrupt people to be held accountable and probably get into a case and trial with them and throw them in jail. This is how it should happen. But unfortunately, in a country like India, I've been observing this. People who have been reporting about corruption are actually at the wrong end of the deal all the time. They are getting either transferred, or in some extreme cases, they are getting killed. So there is no way that people are going to come up and stand up and voice their opinion if they see that corruption is happening in one place, which is going to deteriorate the country. So protecting the whistleblowers is number 2, is very, very important as per Transparency International. The third and most important point that I think we should be doing is, as per the Transparency International institution, they say that independent and investigative journalism is very important for a country to be least corrupt. Now, I'm going to release a separate video on why independent journalism is very, very important to a country called India. I've been observing the news, I've been watching the news that comes up in Indian news channels, and I can say that one of the most fringe medias that we have are the Indian news media channels. They are controlled by this crony capitalists who want to do all the stuff in their country without following any rules or regulations. They think they are above the constitution, and the Godi media and the media in Indian media are actually like they are like the mouthpiece of this crony capitalists, and they keep blabbering some stuff which doesn't make sense. They don't want the country to grow, but rather they have an agenda which is fed by this crony capitalists who control this media, and they keep rhetorically speaking about the same thing in high-pitched voices for a very long time, but they don't talk about something constructive which could benefit this country. So the most important thing which I believe is independent and investigative journalism is very, very important for this country. Now, I'm going to release a separate video, and in that video, I'm going to tell you how there is a strong correlation between independent and investigative journalism and corrupt-free countries. Okay, now that's going to be my second video on this topic. Now, let's get back into the question which I asked. I asked you a very simple question. Do you really believe that Modi is one of the corrupt politicians or corrupt prime ministers India has ever seen? Before we get into the answer, I'm going to show you, what was the ranking that India had in the last 5 years under Modi's government. Transparency International, as I told you, gives ranking for each country every year. And I'm going to read out the rankings that, India has got in the last 5 years, starting from 2019 to 2024. And then you will decide by yourself whether we're living in a corrupt country or not. Now, in 2019, India was ranked 80th out of 180 countries. In the year 2020, India was ranked 86th out of 180 countries as one of the most corrupt. In the year 2021 and 2022, India remained in 85th position out of 180 countries. And in the latest report that was released by Transparency International, India is ranked 93rd out of 180 countries to be one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Now you can see, as far as data is concerned, perception is different from reality. Modi says that he is fighting against corruption. He says that demonetization has killed all the black money. But in reality, we are living in a very corrupt country under Modi's leadership. The truth is, BJP doesn't care about the country. They only care about their agenda, and they want to, polarize people somehow. If they are really worried about this country, if they really care about the citizens of India, then in the 22 states that they are ruling, they should be having transparency in governance, and I don't believe that they have transparency in governance in any one of those states. Without transparency in governance, you cannot have a corrupt-free governance. So the truth is, Modi is actually one of the corrupt prime ministers that India has ever seen, at least as per the data that we get from Transparency International. Now, how can you fight corruption, and why did I actually get into all this topic? Now, you have to understand that in 2016, when Nam Tamizhar Katchi and my brother Seeman decided to contest in the assembly elections for Tamil Nadu, we came up with the process. We came up with the process and decided that there should be a process for each and everything. So, if we need to give a clean governance to the people, then it is important and imperative that we have transparency in governance. So, we collected all this information from Transparency International and gave it in our election manifesto that was released in 2016. Now, if you don't know who my brother Seeman is, he is the chief coordinator for Nam Tamizhar Katchi. And ever since the Tamil genocide that happened in 2009, we are one of the fastest growing parties in Tamil Nadu, and we have been contesting in elections from 2016. In the future videos, we are going to talk about some of the policies that are put forth by the Nam Tamizhar Katchi and my brother Seeman, and we are pretty sure that a lot of other people from other states of India is going to support us too. If you really like this video, please share and subscribe. Thanks a lot.